Renuka? Yes, ma'am. Come here. Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, why do you look so tensed? None of them fitting well for the job. What should I do? Right. Is that it? That's a lot. Why don't you try educator? What is that now? Educator will help you hire the best teacher for your school, so you can decide to that.
Wanted top tier teachers for your school? Sign up with EdHR now and unlock a world of talent. Hire the best that inspire greatness. Transform your school today.
That's interesting. I think it will make my job much easier, and every principal should use that.
Right.
Hello, principals! Ready to elevate the experience of your school admission? Here's My School Admission, the platform designed to boost your admissions and expand your network. With My School Admission, you can effortlessly showcase your school to parents actively seeking the best schooling opportunities for their children. Attract more students, streamline your admission process, and enhance your school visibility all in one place. Visit My School Admission now to elevate your school profile and grow your network.
Education News Network is India's daily education news channel. The latest information pertaining to schools and higher education institutions pan India, as well as the updates in government policies, are featured on ENN from Monday to Friday at 3 pm. We also feature school toppers and young achievers, along with the accomplishments, milestones, and events of the institutions. With a growing community of over 40,000 subscribers, Education News Network strives to create a platform to provide first-hand information to educators, policymakers, and parents. Subscribe to our channel now to catch the latest updates in education at www.theenn.com.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, requesting all the panelists and the guests to please kindly take their seats as we are now heading towards the first panel discussion for the day. Requesting all the guests in the ballroom to please take your seats. We are shortly going to begin the first panel discussion. Also requesting the panelists to please join us. Dr. Manila. Requesting Mr. Anand Krishnan B to please be seated for the first panel discussion for the day. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we now move on to our first panel discussion. Let's dive into thought-provoking conversations on how we can shape the future of education together. The topic of discussion: in the quest for lasting educational impact which offers greater sustainability, is it edtech solutions or traditional teaching methods? So that's what the first panel discussion is going to be all about. Kindly note, the panel discussion floor will be open for the Q&A session later. And I would now request my co-host to please introduce the panelists for the first discussion.
Thank you, Rahul. Today's panelists are, may I introduce our moderator for today's first panel discussion, Dr. Manila Carvalho, Principal, Delhi Public School, Bangalore East, followed by Mr. Santanu Das, Principal, Sarla Birla Academy, Bengaluru, Mr. Alan Anderson, Director, Chaman Bharatiya School, Bengaluru, Dr. Anil Kumar T, Principal, Amar Jyoti Public School, Bengaluru, Ms. Suja George, Vice Chairperson, Alpha Group of Institutions, Dr. Vandana Lula, Director, Podar Group of International Schools, Mumbai. May I request all our panelists to join us on stage.
Let's have a huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, as the panelists for the first discussion are joining us on stage. gives me great pleasure to also introduce the seventh panelist, Mr. K. Srikant Babu, Director, Kennedy and Next Gen Schools, Guntur. Let's hear it, ladies and gentlemen, for all the panelists. All right, as we have the stage set right, I would now like to hand it over to Dr. Manila, who's also the moderator, to please take this forward.
Good morning, everyone. We are really delighted to have these eminent personalities who have carved a niche for themselves in the field of education. They definitely need no introduction. However, they have taken their valuable time out to be here this morning to share their thoughts, their experience in terms of education. And as mentioned already by the MC, the topic for today's discussion, what provides greater sustainability? Is it the traditional teaching methods or the edtech solutions that bring about a change in the education? And without further ado, I would like to take the question straight to Mr. Shantanu Das. Sir, what does sustainability mean in the context of education?
Thank you, Dr. Manila. Education is such a wide concept. Parenting, upbringing, that probably is also education. But I suppose today we would mainly be focusing on what happens at our schools and colleges. So education broadly is preparing our children in the art of taking charge of this beautiful blue planet of ours as and when they grow up. And sustainability in education is about enabling our children to acquire the requisite knowledge, skills, attitudes, values that are required to shape a sustainable future. So, sustainability in education is probably very closely connected to shaping a sustainable future. It's also about finding long-lasting solutions through education in matters pertaining to social, environmental, economic spheres, as it were the three pillars of sustainability. So sustainability in education is probably very closely linked with education for sustainable development. The topic today, we all know, whether it's the edtech solutions or the traditional teaching methods, which one to adopt as we go forward in our quest to find sustainability in education. Well, the panelists here will expand on this, but since I'm the first speaker, I probably must lay a little foundation for them to build on. And there probably is no one definite, sweepingly accurate answer. There seldom is. For example, while edtech solutions are so integral to today's teaching learning process, the differentiation in technologies in edtech solution is also so very important. Some might benefit from, technologies that assist with reading difficulties, while others might benefit from interactive learning tools, particularly when it comes to children who find it difficult to sit still and focus. There is one factor, though, which is enduringly central to this entire process: the teacher. The good, old, caring teacher is and will probably always remain the all-important pivot in this entire process of teaching and learning. The emotional connect that a teacher has with her students, that probably can never be replaced. No amount and no quality of edtech can have ever hope to do so. I think it was Arthur C. Clarke who said, knowledge without emotions is but a weariness, tiredness of the soul. So very beautifully put. So here we are at the first rung of what seems to be such an engaging topic. Dr. Manila, I feel this is enough for the time being. Let others expand on it.
Thank you so much, and really agree with you. EdTech solutions cannot compromise on the emotional stability of the children. Of course, in the previous talk with Dr. Sharoff, she spoke about the use of technology, how children are misusing it, and how it affects the children psychologically. And today we are here speaking about the EdTech solutions in our school campuses, which I feel is a safe system because it is monitored and guided by the educational heads of the educational institution. So thank you so much, Mr. Shantanu Das, for sharing your thoughts. And I move on to the second question to Mr. Alan Anderson. How does EdTech and traditional teaching fulfill the purpose of sustainability in terms of cost effectiveness?
First, I will say that I agree with what was said by the previous speaker, that I can't imagine education without a teacher. I can't imagine efficient teaching without a human touch. But in today's world, I can't imagine a teacher without technology either. So for me, we shouldn't oppose teaching and technology. We should talk about different ways of using technology for the good of humans and for the good of the planet. And in that sense, I think technology can give something that the teacher can't do by herself. For example, differentiation, feedback with data, various ways of learning books with films and pictures and all that. So there are so many things that you can do if you know in a clever way how to use technology. And with AI and robots, we will have robots that can look like teachers. But even though Elon Musk might be very good, I don't think he can create a human robot with all the facets of empathy, of communication, collaboration, human feelings that a human teacher has. So therefore, I can't say what is most cost efficient, because I can only say that if you want teaching that prepares children for life, then you have to have a good teacher equipped with the best modern technology. And there's one more reason for that, because if we don't teach children how to use technology in the service of humans, they will be the servants of technology. So with AI and all the new technology, we must emphasize the good old values of teaching. Reading, writing, thinking, expressing feelings, and so on. So I think the more I think about technology, and I've used my technology in my schools in Denmark since 2005, so I've really tried to use online tools. But the more I use them, the more I emphasize the need for humans to be in charge of technology. I don't know if that was an answer to your question, but I think that was important points anyway.
Yes, definitely, and I'll agree with you that no, technology can be ruled. Human beings are more powerful, and teachers' intervention is so very important in the classroom to bring about those model values among children. That is very, very essential. Thank you so much for sharing your thought. Moving on, we have another question to Dr. Vandana Lulla. What metric should we use to define success in edtech versus traditional teaching?
Hi, good morning, everyone. And I think the big question of innovation versus tradition, I don't ever think we can separate the two, and we have no choice. With all that is happening in technology, you see artificial intelligence, where I think the speaker earlier talked about how much it impacts and what's going to happen in the days to come. However, I think we need to have this great balance of what's coming up for the future of these global citizens that we are creating and what's already existing. And I think what everyone is talking about, the human relationship that we have as educationists with the children is priority. And I think when you talk about how you can measure it, how you can see what really impacts, what's it that matrix that you can impact or you can find out, it's very simple. Now, when you do anything with technology, the data that you get, no human being can actually analyze data as fast as technology. So you know that that's the time when you use technology, you do standardized testing, you find out what are the strengths, what are the areas of development, and you measure absolutely where the child is. So you use technology to analyze data. You use technology to track students' skills. When we say we develop 21st century skills, how are children developing the various skills that are most important, whether it's communication skills, research skills, critical thinking skills, negotiation skills. So you track that and you analyze that and you see what needs to be done. However, I think it's important for us to remember that there has to be, if you get into a classroom, the most important, and I think everyone knows that however much the technology or innovations may come up, the teacher will never ever disappear. That social skills that we talk about, well-being of these students that we talk about, which is priority and most important, can happen only if you build that rapport and relationship with every student and understand using technology to know your children, to know how to deal with them, how to help them. The very fact the speaker in the beginning talked about the platform, Safe Teen platform. There's a AI tool used. So that you can use to support well-being of students. So I think success is a balance of technology, innovation, and tradition. We cannot ever separate the two. Thank you.
Definitely, every teaching learning process, we see what is the outcome of our teaching, and technology definitely helps us to speed up the process to give accurate report. And as ma'am mentioned, that teacher cannot disappear. Technology can give the feedback in a more abstract manner or just for the child to read and understand. But when the teacher gives the feedback with all the emotions, all the soft skills that she has, she conveys it to the child and explains what are the things that the child need to keep in mind and how to change for a better performance. So thank you so much, ma'am, for sharing your thought. We'll move on to the next question to Dr. Anil Kumar. What are the enduring strengths of traditional teaching methods that EdTech has yet to replicate or replace?
Thank you, Manila ma'am, and greetings to all of you. If you're keen to listen from the beginning to tell Vandana ma'am, I think everyone is talking the importance of the teacher, or physical presence of the teacher. I think that's where the traditional method comes strongly. Yeah, we have the education technology which has taken the education sector far, far ahead than what it used to be. When I studied my schooling, I had only 5 subjects. But if you look at now, we have number of subjects where the children are offered to study. But however, if you look at the human touch, the human connection can be never ever removed in the presence of the teacher in the classroom. Now, our city, Bangalore, is one of those cities in the first, I think they introduced the robo teachers. I'm not sure the success rate of it. It was a big news, but I'm not sure the success rate of it. The other example I can say that an ex-student who comes back maybe a decade after 10 years, comes back to the school, he or she would not talk about what teachers taught them, what formulas, what grammar taught them. They will not talk about. How the teacher made them to feel, that's what they talk about it. So that's why we say human connection cannot be removed from anywhere. I also had an experience once, few years back. One of my students, she was, at the danger of death. She was about to die. So we went to meet her. So I just kept hold my hand and I was holding her for some time. And then I said I want to remove, and then Selby wanted to say bye to her. But she said, sir, can you hold it some more time? That's again a teacher connect, the bond that we have with the teacher and the student. The no technology can replace that again. The other aspect we can talk about the emotional support and encouragement. I know a student, he's in 9th standard. His father beats him every day, even now. I mean, these days I'm talking about, not, now he's stopped. We as a teachers got involved and supported him emotionally with a counselor. And that's again, and the father was counseled and father was told what not to do, all that. But there again, the involvement of the teacher made a vital role. I'll give another example. One of the students, a girl child, whose stepfather used to abuse her. The involvement of the counselor and the teacher made a lot of difference. What I'm trying to tell is that all this cannot happen with technology. Only the human touch can happen. The other aspect I wanted to share with you this morning is that a teacher, when she enters the class, he or she, when she looks at the children, she can tailor the lesson on the spot according to the need and the environment of the class, which technology can't do it on the spot. I'm not sure, but that's what my opinion. If you go further, if you look at an experienced teacher can go beyond giving a human experience to the children, that they may grow further in terms of the culture. If you look at one of my schools in the past, it took for me 6 months to train the children to say good morning to the teachers, because they think that they're into a high technology teaching, they forgot to wish the teacher. So what I'm trying to tell is that the human presence of the teacher makes lot of difference. Thank you.
Rightly said, sir. And we were very touched when you mentioned about your relationship with the student. And I'm sure many of you agree, there are a lot more students like this in your respective institutions whom you have touched. However, whatever development we have in terms of technology, I think human intervention is something that is more sought after by our students. Children are addicted to technology, but I think we can bring them out with our intervention. How we deal with them is very, very essential. Thank you so much, sir, for sharing your thoughts. We are moving on to another questions to Ms. Suja. Does technology-driven learning or face-to-face instructions foster better critical thinking and interpersonal skills?
Good morning to one and all. I think the question in terms of how technology, compared to traditional teaching, and how it impacts on critical thinking and interpersonal skills is, it's it's not easy to answer that question in terms of, I mean, because there are, I feel the traditional teaching and technology in education as such both have strengths and weaknesses, I would say. So, I mean, the best answer for when you talk of technology in education, I would say, is more like it's a tool that basically that has to be used effectively, I would say. So, in terms of any skill, any educational skill that has to be developed for students, technology has to be seen as a tool which has to be optimized and used in the right way to make learning effective and to make learning effective in a way that, you know, to also build wholesome, holistic skills in students as well. So, in terms of critical thinking, you know, to kind of break it up in a certain way, I would say that critical thinking and interpersonal skills, when you talk of technology interface, it does help with critical thinking, certain strengths of, you know, accessing diverse resources, uh, facilitating students with simulative environments, problem-based learning tools, and to be able to analyze and evaluate content digitally. It does help to build critical thinking skills. At the same time, technology does lack in having in-depth discussions in the classroom, so which only helps with the face-to-face interaction. So the blend in that sense, unless that is maintained, only I feel in that way it is optimal. And of course, interpersonal skills, um, it's a very challenging thing, I would say, as we've seen as the speaker in the morning, Dr. Manjula, she spoke as well, very pertinent topic, I would say, something that really impacts education and the lives of students, and something that we all have to think about. So, in terms of interpersonal, yes, technology interface does have strengths in terms of in structured context when it is thoughtfully implemented. It does serve as a good tool to build virtual team, you know, to facilitate virtual teamwork and to have online forums and discussions. But nothing is as strong as a face-to-face interaction for interpersonal. So I would say that you know, in terms of interpersonal aspects, especially skills of virtues of empathy and also to build in terms of understanding body language, non-verbal cues, and to build such skills, face-to-face interaction, classroom discussions, and all of that is very pertinent. So on the whole, I would say a blended approach, a balanced approach, using tech in an optimal manner in teaching is very important with a focus on learning, and to build holistic skills of students, I would say is extremely pertinent.
If you look at the, when there's a joint family, I think children have been very strong at developing those interpersonal skills when they're living with their grandparents, uncles, and aunts. Of course, there is nuclear family now, but of course, EdTech solutions also generate, critical thinking in children. And as ma'am mentioned, I think it is one-to-one human touch that will enhance the interpersonal skills in children. Okay, we'll move on to the next question to Mr. Shrikant Babu. What single policy change or investment could create the most significant sustainable improvement in education globally?
Policy change, anyhow, we don't have any government people here, but for most of us who are private educationalists, I believe we need to invest more and more in teachers and teacher education. Because investing in EdTech, Elon Musk and others will definitely do. And EdTech will definitely come at different prices. Even a 10,000 mobile phone can do 90% of what we utilize from a most costliest phone, the latest iPhone or so. So how many of us are paying more salary for a kindergarten preschool teacher than the senior secondary teacher? Is there anyone in the hall? I see one hand, SSVM. Yeah, there are just 2, 3. Even I am not there, because simple reason is that we also charge less fee for a kindergarten than the 10th class or plus 2. So only when, but every one of us, Dr. Manjula, everyone is talking about how, we all know, we all accept that EdTech will only enhance the teaching. It has to be used as a tool, but it's the human connection that every one of the panelists speaking here, which we all accept. So we need to bring that policy change, if at all it is possible, and if not in terms of policy change, but at least in our own institutions, if we can slowly strive to improve that investment in teacher education, particularly from the foundation level, because they are the people, because if a grade 11 student is doing some nonsense on the web, I don't think the teachers will, at least maybe few counselors, as sir was telling, might be able to help them, but in order to ensure that they are not even thinking of something which should not be thought of, it has to be done right from the foundation level. So investment in the foundation of the teachers and teacher education, I think nowhere, of course, if we talk about our country, we might be little less than average or average compared to many other global countries. But even globally, in most of the countries, teachers are still paid less. Even in terms of the most developed countries like US, China, or even maybe Finland, because we go through all those WhatsApp stories about Finland. I've been to Finland a couple of times, but still it's not up to the mark. So I believe if we can make more investments in terms of teacher training and teacher investment, we, including me, we invest a lot on interactive flat panel boards. We invest, okay, the humanoid Maya has come, we also want to see our own clone and all. We invest in that. But once we also ensure that we are investing in the teacher education, I believe we will make that human connection much more better. Otherwise, I'm afraid that the next generation, if these humanoids come, there may not be marriages and births are the spouses. There is a recent Hindi movie also where the hero wants to marry the robo, right? Yeah. So that, I'm afraid that my children and their children might be in that stage, and if Elon Musk or someone else is bringing the humanoid and the clone of us in, technology will definitely come. We cannot avoid that, but we have to ensure that how we are utilizing, and we have to teach our children and teachers on optimally utilizing it for our own benefit. What is the opposite of artificial intelligence? So we talk about AI a lot. And how did AI come? AI is invented through natural intelligence, through human intelligence. And if AI is taking over, the opposite is natural stupidity, right? So if AI is improving, our intelligence becomes stupidity, and we will not be in a peaceful world. So invest more in teacher education.
Yeah, very interesting to hear. When AI is going up, it's the stupidity is on the other side. Of course, policymakers are not looking into teacher education. We need to spend lots on teacher education, and they need to be paid very highly. It is not about other countries. Our own country, if you see, I think it is the teacher community who always get less salary compared to any of the institutions, organizations that we work. And it is the teacher who brings about a change, because it is the teacher who makes the child love the subject, or it is a teacher who makes the child hate the subject. So it is our role is very, very essential in teacher people learning. So thank you so much, sir, for sharing your thoughts. I have an open question now. Any of the panelists can take it up, this question. How do we balance the rapid pace of technological innovation with the need for a stable, consistent learning environment? I'll read. How do we balance the rapid pace of technological innovation with the need for stable, consistent learning environment? In fact, one of our panelists is absent today. She has not come. She is not well. So I kept this question for her. So if anybody can take up this question.
I think it's very simple to balance. When the school calendar is what we create, and when teachers write their lesson plans, or when they come up with creating those lesson plans, I think that's the time that one needs to understand that how am I going to ensure that I begin the class. I mean, we all know that the first thing in preschools, definitely, I saw a lot of preschool heads here, is circle time. Yeah? And why do we have circle time? Is to make that connection, to understand the psychology of the children. What is it that the child has gone through in the last 2 days? How are you feeling today? What is it that I can help you? What is it that you know and you want to know further from? Having that eye-to-eye contact in the start of a class, I think is very, very crucial. Know your children. You know, we all do KYC, know your customer all the time. Exactly. Know your children, and that's the human touch, and that's what we say interpersonal relations, intrapersonal relations. Howard Gardner talks about 9 intelligence, and he talks about, you know, I wrote a book on Howard Gardner's 9 intelligence, and I talked about how important it is to develop that interpersonal relationships. Children must know who should I go to if I have a problem. That should be put up everywhere in the school. Safeguarding, you know, we talk about cybercrime, cyberbullying. All that will increase. You cannot stop. However, in the start of the class, you can have that. Then you can move on to differentiation. Very easy. I've started using AI in classrooms. I allow teachers and students to use various apps. Ask a question. You can design, you can ask ChatGPT, you can ask Meta, design 3 different worksheets for 3 different levels of students. You can have different question paper for all 50 children in the class, 100 children in the class in 30 seconds. You can do differentiation. You can support children tremendously using AI. AI is not your enemy. Better start using AI tools because you will get outdated if you don't. At my school, we have embraced AI and we use AI big time for teachers to do differentiation, cater to the needs of the children. So technology is best used to cater to the needs of every child in the classroom. You can teach differently, you can design sheets, resources, papers, assessment, everything. You can post a question on to the device of the student, and you can have different questions for all 100 children in the class. I'm talking about 100, I'm not talking about 15, 20 that we see in many international curriculum schools. So I think if a teacher plans her class, is the planning and balances the interpersonal relationships, interpersonal skills, intrapersonal skills with the children, and then use technology. And at the end of it, have an exit ticket. An exit ticket is the best feedback that a teacher can have to know how do I know what you know and what you don't know, and how many of you have mastered what I've taught. So I think that's the balance that we need to create in a classroom.
Thank you so much. I think Mr. Anderson want to add. Yes, sir?
I will emphasize another aspect, and that has also to do with what technology can bring to teaching, because I think we should emphasize the need for more teaching where the students can be engaged in solving problems they are passionate about. So if we make teaching more about something that is important for the child and set them free to find solutions with the help of technology and discuss their solutions with them, then they will thrive in school, feel that it's a place for them where they are accepted, where they can do what they are passionate about. So I think one important aspect with technology is to set the children free from all the instructions from the teachers. They can find out so much on their own with the help of technology, and the teachers can support them, evaluate them, organize discussions and all that. But they will learn a lot by solving problems that they are passionate about, and thereby preparing themselves for a world where they are supposed to be innovative and solving problems. So I think we should come a little away from wanting to plan everything for the students. And therefore, our curriculum should also be a much less content heavy and much more competence based now that we have the technology. Because with the technology, we know what the children are learning and what they are not learning. So we can make new challenges for them if they have holes in their learning. So we don't need to be so afraid to cover everything, every corner of the content, because by that we are not preparing for the future. And I think technology is a good opportunity to change teaching. We have been a little nostalgic about the value of the teacher, and I totally agree with that. I said it myself. But it's a new kind of teacher. A teacher who's more a facilitator and a very tech-savvy facilitator.
Thank you so much, sir. Can we keep one or two questions for the audience to ask? We do not have much time. Any questions for the panelists? At least we can take one question from the audience. Yes, okay. Pass on the mic there, please.
Can we quickly pass the mic?
I know the panel spoke about teacher education and why we should invest in teachers. I had a question around the sustainability of teaching as a profession. Teachers are around the world underpaid, overworked, and we expect the world from them. You know, we want them to be experts on AI. We want them to be experts on technology. We want them to, in the US, I'm from an US organization, and there we expect teachers to wield guns and defend the children when somebody comes shooting into the campus. Right? We expect the world from them, but they're underpaid and overworked. I know parents who discourage their children from becoming teachers because the profession is not attractive from that perspective. There are people who are good teachers who are not teaching because they feel that it's not a sustainable profession. Would the panel address this problem from the question of sustainability, or because teaching as a profession is threatened?
So let me just tell you one thing, that teaching is a profession where people who have passion and purpose. And I don't know, I understand the fact that it's not financially very great for people to get into education. But my experience for last 30 years in education, I must have interviewed thousands of people, and I've worked with thousands of people around the world, and I've seen, I have a person who comes down from UK, he's maybe 80 years old, not coming for any kind of financial support, but is passionate. You saw Manjula. She said, I'm ready to travel anywhere, free, to see the safety of children. And I think there's no answer to your question. I don't think this profession or this salaries may change drastically in the days to get. They have moved from one phase to another phase. But I think most people in education are there for a purpose, want to make a difference, want to do something, and there's a love for children. And I say, people whom I interview, only if you love children can you join my school.
I agree with that. Yeah, it is teachers. We are here because we love the profession. We are committed. We know the salary is this, but doesn't matter. We are there for the children, and we derive happiness when children do much better than us. So thank you so much for the panelists. Thank you for sharing your thought. And audience, thank you so much for being, good listeners. Thank you.
Thank you, and we can always connect offline with the panelists to discuss further. And thank you. Once again, let's have a round of applause for all the panelists for sharing their insights. I would now request Mr. Anil Sharma and Mr. Raj Mrityunjayappa, Chairman and CEO, Talisma, to please join us on stage and felicitate the panelists. Starting off with the moderator, Dr. Manila, Principal of Delhi Public School, Bangalore East. Let's have a round of applause for Dr. Manila Carvalho, Principal, DPS Bangalore East. Next up, Mr. Santanu Das, Principal, Sarla Birla Academy. Next up, Mr. Alan Anderson, Director, Chaman Bhartiya School. Followed by Dr. Anil Kumar T, Principal, Amara Jyoti Public School. Ms. Suja George, Vice Chairperson, Alpha Group of Institutions. Dr. Vandana, Director, Podar Group of International Schools. And last but not the least, Mr. K. Srikant Babu, Director, Kennedy and Next Gen Schools. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's have a round of applause for the panelists. I would request Dr. Raj and Mr. Anil Sharma to remain on stage. The panelists can take their seats. The panelists will also be collecting